It's Steel Razor right here on your classic metal show with the song called Metal Maniac. And just before that, we heard a band called Zix, that is Z-I-X, with Metal Strike. It's a very metal show tonight.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know. Was that the one that had the combination of the guy and the girl?
Yes. Zix.
I'm digging that. Did you like that?
Yeah, it was real good.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like the girl. I'm turning into Tim, I guess.
You didn't like the girl?
No, I did not like the girl.
Oh. Well, Lizzie Hale has nothing to fear.
Yeah, Lizzie's still my favorite.
Yeah. You don't like the girl in that, but Lizzie can pass.
Lizzie can definitely pass. Mm-hmm. Like me some Lizzie Hale.
There you go. All right, something that we've talked about here on the show that one of your favorite band's drummers talked about.
Okay.
I think Lars Ulrich gives too many interviews, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. He needs to shut up.
Yeah, he talks too much.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Metallica's Lars Ulrich said that he is not opposed to one day touring the world as a hologram.
All right, Lars. Thanks for playing. So, let me translate. I'd love to keep making money and not performing. That'd be great.
Well, that's kind of what it boils down to, doesn't it?
Yes, that's exactly what it does.
It's like I don't even have to leave the house, and they can put on a big production, and, I could perform without actually being there.
Now, would we get the Lars from the 80s that could play? Or will we get the bald Lars that is fucking woefully out of time? That's the question I have. I want the old Lars.
Right. A Tupac Shakur hologram performed with Snoop Dogg at Coachella in 2012. And Cirque du Soleil brought a holographic version of Michael Jackson to the stage. Right. Mostly recently, it was announced that a hologram of the legendary heavy metal singer Ronnie James Dio would embark on a world tour in December, backed by members of his old band.
Great.
Ulrich, who has lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, the technology hub of the United States, for more than 3 decades, spoke about the possibility of a holographic performer one day flooding the market during a career-spanning interview with his this past Sunday.
Okay.
The drummer said the conversation in the Bay Area generally is primarily about when people look into the future. It's about the artificial intelligence, and it's about how you adapt to AI and to everything that we know on a daily basis. And so when you start looking at the possibilities of how it could play into music, obviously there's been a few go-rounds with the holograms. There's a few artists that are looking at sending artists on the road in a hologram form.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Copenhagen a couple months ago, and we were doing rehearsals for the European tour. We had this whole new visual show coming. Let's start again. We had this whole new visual show thing happening, and what was going on was we were in the arena, and they're showing some of the visuals and the dynamics and the aesthetics and all the hoopla to us, and we're sitting up in the row 33 up there looking at the whole thing, and they've got a live show of us somewhere on the summer tour blasting out over the PA with a full rig, etc. Mm-hmm. A big giant stage, giant light show, and I'm sitting up there, and the whole thing is happening. 120 decibel loud music, all the lights, the video, the screens, everything going on, except there's no musicians on the stage, and I'm sitting there going, there's got to be a version of this somewhere in our future.
Okay. Well, go ahead, have it, but I won't be watching it.
We're paying.
Are you ever going to visit any? Are you ever going to see any hologram show?
No.
Even just for straight curiosity?
Nah.
Me either.
The thing is a hologram show to me seems like that belongs like in Las Vegas.
I agree.
Like they have a captive audience in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know even as far back as the 80s, If you go into Caesar's Palace through the People Mover, they had holograms even back then of Julius Caesar and a couple of people in this encased glass thing as you're on this People Mover going into Caesar's Palace. And it was pretty cool to see that, but that was 30 years ago.
Do you think at some point that the quote unquote record companies just get rid of the musicians altogether? Just create new bands that don't even exist. I mean, you could do the audio with it now.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is they got to be able to make that music popular enough to have an audience.
But if they do it, if they make, I would be curious to hear if they could make the music. If they could make the music and make a song that no one performed on, it's all done digitally.
Yeah.
And get success with it, then they could do their market research on what the quote unquote band is supposed to look like and create a hologram band. If they're going to go down this road, see, my thing is, if you start down this road, they're going to keep going down the road and going down the road. And I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a massive flop. But if the Dio thing does well, if they literally can sell 1,000 seats a night to see a fucking screen of Ronnie James Dio, then you can bet that somebody's gonna try and start getting the rights to do every dead rock star known to man. Don't you think?
Yeah, I would believe that. Yes, but the appeal of what you're talking about is that these are established, real personalities, people, recognizable figures that you, if you saw, a photo of, say, like Jimi Hendrix, you'd say, hey, that's Jimi Hendrix.
Sure.
You would know that. And could that be a successful hologram show? Perhaps. But going back to your original point of not even having a real band performing a song, I think what people would be drawn to is not just the musical performance, but the personalities behind it. Because, if you think about like teen idols, all these screaming, back when teen idols were a big thing, say like a David Cassidy or somebody, where people went out not specifically for the songs, but they wanted to see David Cassidy. They would have to have a face, as part of invent,
though.
Huh?
They could invent that.
Yeah, but that's my point is that they'd have to invent a person or persons that have a recognizable face or look, or who you're going to see. They would have to really do some slick marketing to get people to buy into that this is somebody you're going to go see.
Maybe, but I mean, think about it. Think about a new band. Think about, and I don't want to use Hailstorm because that's obviously the chick was the appeal.
Right.
Go with like Volbeat. That's not exactly they're
not a recognizable face.
Right. How did people discover them? They liked the tunes. They liked whatever tune they heard. They never saw them. They just liked the tune.
But
if a record company generated that, and it got on the radio or it got wherever people are discovering music these days in a lyric video or something, which is how a lot of people discover music now.
Sure.
Is in lyric videos. And people are like, man, that's a fucking kick-ass song. And then they were just like, okay, well, it's not really a band, but you can go see it live when we create it. I'm not saying today, but I'm saying as we move further away from live bands and rock music and, these companies aren't stupid. If they see that they can make money.
Yes.
I mean, so let's say everything that you're saying is true. Okay? If they can make, instead of paying, what does Dokken get? 20 grand? 20 grand a gig?
About that, yeah.
Instead of paying this band with these 4 guys, 20 grand. We could put on the same show for 5 grand and not have any chance of anything. The sound being bad, the performance being bad, somebody having a bad night, nothing. We can do it for 5 grand. And we can sell the tickets for 2/3 the cost and make a third profit. Why would they not do that?
They would, but...
And that's what I think is going to happen. Kids these days, the new generation, they're not trained to go to shows. You know, they're just not, they're more trained to go to YouTube. They would rather watch a show on YouTube than go to a show. Do you agree?
Yes.
So why wouldn't they just start doing that? I honestly think that a lot more rides on this Dio thing than just Dio.
Yeah, the only thing that the Dio show as of today is going to offer is that the band itself is going to be actual people.
Sure, but they need that for that show because it's the first one. But if it's a success, I mean, do you really think that you're not going to see, let's go with people that have disposable income. Let's go with the 60 to 70-year-old crowd right before they were right about retirement age.
Okay.
Don't you think that those people would go see a fucking Elvis hologram?
I would say yes.
I would say yes, too. And they would probably pay, because what do old people go and see now? Like plays and shit? Isn't that what old people do now? They go and see some plays?
Yeah, I would imagine that they would go to see like Christmas shows.
Yeah.
Pageants and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so if they're going out and spending $35 to $55 a ticket, why wouldn't they go and relive their past a little bit with some Elvis? And why wouldn't people 15 years younger than me and you go out and see, fake Nirvana, screen Nirvana, or Stone Temple Pilots, or, Soundgarden? Why wouldn't they go see that? And then once this new thing, you could go and see, these kids, they fucking worship these goddamn Marvel movies. That's what these kids love. They love the Marvel movies and the DC movies more than they do bands. Like for us, can you think of any movie, that like Marvel, like the Marvel where they have all the different superhero movies.
Yeah, the Captain Americas or Team America or whatever.
Yeah. We had a bunch of those. We didn't have the superheroes. We had more like the Freddy Krueger series or the Jason series or whatever. But we never had any of those that outweighed our music. And I would say in today's culture, the kids are way more into their movies than their movie series than they are into music. Don't you think?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You look back at like Harry Potter, and things like that, and those are massively popular among the younger people.
So why wouldn't something that is built in the same technology, it's built in the same technology, and B, these kids have been trained to not even get attached to bands. They don't buy the music. They don't buy albums. They fucking think that if you appear on TV on The Voice or American Idol, that means that you're a good fucking band, that you're talented. So why wouldn't they just go out and see something that's
made up
on the screen?
Yeah.
I honestly think it could really happen. And it'll put everybody out of business. It'll put all of these bands out of business, and it would shock me none. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think that probably a good example of that still is fronted or manned by musicians is like what's the Christmas band that tours around?
TSO?
Yeah, TSO. Mm-hmm. A lot of those, even though that the musicians in that band and are a lot of metal guys and very accomplished musicians,
right?
TSO is kind of a faceless deal because they constantly switch out the members.
Sure.
But people go see the performance.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So I could see a TSO style thing, a big production, being done with holograms.
Sure. And you're exactly right. I could see TSO not having any musicians there.
Exactly.
Just big screens and really good laser show and, good holograms. And it would be it would sell out. That's what I mean. It would sell well.
Yeah. I mean, the TSO show sells out everywhere it goes.
So much so that they have to have 2 bands of it in order to fill the demand. They have the West Coast side and they have the East Coast side, and that's just to fulfill the demand of that. They could do that without the people. How much money would they save?
Lots.
I mean, they have 15 fucking people on stage at any given time? 15 salaries, get rid of all that and just have one fucking tech with 2 computers, a mainline and a backup.
I'll disagree with Phil Luz in the chat room. TSO does not suck.
Not even a little bit.
That is a well orchestrated, huge production.
Yep, and it's fun.
I mean, if you don't like Christmas music, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But just for the production and the performance alone, that's over the top.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the musical side of TSO, but I've seen it a bunch of times, and it is a big time show.
It is.
I like that show. Even not loving the music, I still love watching it. It's a cool show.
Yeah, I agree. Well, anyway, Lars continues. He says, Lars went on to defend the idea of using technology to bring back any artist that has ever lived to the delight and entertain us one more time. And this goes back to your point of Elvis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could totally just... Elvis is going to be the one, I think. I mean, of the dead stars, Elvis is going to be the one that could be profitable. And I'll tell you why, and tell me if you think I'm wrong. One, the Elvis people, Priscilla Presley, and the foundation that she has over there, has a lot of money. I think they have a ton of fucking money, don't they?
Well, the Elvis estate makes more money now
than Elvis ever did.
Than Elvis did when he was alive.
Yeah. So they have the money to fund it, to do it right. Don't you think?
Yes.
And because they do, and because Elvis was so iconic, and because Elvis died so young, and because Elvis was accessible really across the board, where you could pick the biggest names, any one of them, the Beatles or the Stones or Elvis or whatever. Elvis is about the only one that really kind of crossed all lines. The great grandmothers liked Elvis. Our parents liked Elvis. Hell, we liked Elvis. I don't know if you were a fan or not, but Elvis was acceptable when I was growing up.
Right.
Elvis was still kind of, an acceptable listen, even though he was all, Hollywood Elvis or Vegas Elvis at that point, and he was Fat Elvis and all that other shit. But his music was still kind of transcended, and he had the Christian music for the churchies, and he had kind of shake your hips and fuck music for our parents. So he transcended a lot of stuff. They could make a lot of money doing an Elvis hologram.
I would agree with that.
I think it would be big.
But the thing is the thing that sells that is obviously Elvis is iconic.
Sure. But it would. Elvis is. I think we're talking about two different things. I think you have to start with the big names. But once they see that the biggest names in history are making money, they're going to do one of two things with it. They're either going to create new bands, or they're going to create new music with the old people's voices.
Right.
And either could happen. Would it shock you to get a brand new Elvis album, of stuff that he never wrote or anything, but people that write around the Elvis sound right, and then they program a computer to sing it. Wouldn't shock me. Would it shock you?
No, I mean, yeah, from a marketing standpoint, you got to wonder how that would work. But no, I get what you're saying, that that Elvis lives.
Yeah. Yeah, and people would listen to it. I don't think it would. I mean, the industry is so dead now, it's not like you're trying to sell 1 million copies of anything. But if you had one new song, and the Elvis hologram is going to play the one new song, people will go and see that. They will absolutely go and see it. And they'll go out there and they'll see it and they'll be cheering right along when he's doing the da-da-da, da-da-da,
right,
CC Rider bullshit at the beginning of the show and at the end of the show and whatnot.
Yeah.
They'll go and see it, and it will make money. And if I know anything about the industry, if there's a way to make money, they'll do it.
Well, Lars continues, as loopy as it sounds and as kind of silly as I'm exaggerating for the effort, what is a concert? What is music? What's a concert? He said, to me, it's about connecting with people and it's about sharing the experience together. And what we try to do when we play gigs is to erase the wall between the audience and the band. It's basically about doing away with the division between the audience and the artist. So I'm sitting here going, yeah, well, maybe one day.
Yeah.
And a primary objective of the concert is to bring people together and share an experience. Why do they need Lars Ulrich or James Hetfield there, or Kirk Hammett or Robert Trujillo? We continued, if you got the music, you've got the equipment, you've got the lights, you've got the video, there's got to be some version of that in there one day by the time all the Elon Musk and all the Mark Benoffs and the rest of them have figured out where artificial intelligence plays into all of this. Okay. So it's kind of, same thing that we're talking about here.
And he's right. Think about it this way. If Metallica was going to play one show, who would you rather see? Would you rather see Hetfield, Lars, Trujillo, and Hammett? Or would you rather see Hetfield, Lars, Hammett, and Cliff Burton hologram?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which would you pay to see? Okay, I'm giving you $100 and you can pick side A or side B of the Metallica show to see. Which one are you going to go see?
Well, you're going to go see the original.
But that's a hologram.
Correct.
So you would spend money. You're saying you would spend money to see 3 originals and the hologram over the current lineup of Metallica.
Perhaps.
Well, would you or wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. I would go see that. Sure, why not?
And therein lies where this thing could work. That is totally where this thing can work. It's a tough call.
Yeah.
But but it could totally happen. Think about the profitability that is on the table for this. What about if Van Halen just fucking puts out a Sammy Hagar version and a fucking David Lee Roth version? And does all 4 guys or 5 guys? You can go and just think of the money that Van Halen could make. Those guys don't like to be on the road. Eddie Van Halen wants to sit home and fucking do whatever it is that he does now. He doesn't really like to tour. You think Eddie Van Halen wouldn't like collecting money having both of those bands out there touring on hologram status? I think he would. Maybe show up for like the occasional gig here and there and replace his own hologram with actual playing.
Sure.
I think it could happen. It could totally happen. That's why I see that it could work. And then, like we've said all along, it won't be too long before bad versions of these holograms will be in fucking every karaoke bar in the country.
Yeah, you get to sing along with Dio, or you get to sing along with Elvis.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Sure.
Doing a duet with Elvis, singing fucking teddy bear or something.
Yeah. Love me, tender love me.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sure.
I'd pay an extra $2 for that.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen, man. It's the way of the world. And,
yeah.
And the way music is becoming less and less profitable, these record companies aren't just gonna fucking fold up and go away. They're gonna reinvent themselves, and this is how they can do it. They can reinvent themselves without the talent. They can get a fucking dumbbell like Skrillex to just fucking put the songs together. It's the way it's going. You watch and learn, man. That's what's going to happen.
Well, I would agree with you that this is going to depend on the younger generation who has no loyalty to a favorite band the way that we did.
Yeah.
So they don't care. I mean,
they don't care.
It's just throwaway. It's just throwaway entertainment anyway. So it doesn't matter.
I mean, they make stars out of each other. That's who celebrities are now. Dude, I was watching what was I watching? A show. Or I was listening to Sam and Jim this week.
Okay.
I don't even know why.
Okay.
But I had it on YouTube, and they started interviewing a guy named something Rubin, maybe Dave Rubin or Joe Rubin or something.
Okay.
I didn't catch his name. But this guy has a YouTube channel that's hugely popular called the Rubin Report.
Okay.
And you would probably like it. I listened to him. He's like a conservative guy, really smart younger guy, right? Turned this thing into a multi-million-dollar thing. But 5 years ago, he was an unpaid intern at SiriusXM. And he just saw that he couldn't make any money in traditional ways, so he went to YouTube and built his own thing. And now is making multi-million dollars being a YouTuber.
All right.
But that's his only claim to fame.
Sure.
This new generation has a whole different mindset than we did. We and our parents and we were adapted. We adapted away from what our parents did. If you think about it, I don't know with your parents, but my mom was definitely a concert goer type.
Right.
And if you think of those concerts, when you see the Beatles come and play like New York Met Stadium or whatever that stadium is that they played when they first got here.
Right.
They came out to the middle of the stadium, played like 30 minutes and left.
Yeah.
I mean, they played nothing, and no one could hear them because they're just doing amps, just regular amps to a fucking 100,000 seat stadium or whatever it was. But that was what a concert was.
Sure.
And if you went to a show and a band played 30 minutes in the middle of a stadium that you could barely hear, what would you think?
Yeah,
you'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I got ripped off. Where's the other 4 hours of entertainment that I'm due? That's what you would think. We grew up adapted different from them, and we grew up kind of, with the CDs. We grew up not accepting shitty sounding recordings. If you listen to some of that old 60s and, even the Beatles, those first couple Beatles albums don't sound very good at all. They're all recorded in mono and they sound tinny and shitty. If a band came out today and sounded like a 1960, like Please Please Me or whatever, you would fucking be like, I'm never listening to this band again. True?
Well, yeah, in today's technology, you expect more.
Yeah. Well, these kids today, they have grown up in a totally different technology. Their technology is that they don't even buy music. They expect music to be free. And they expect nothing. They don't go to shows. They don't support bands. They don't collect bands. They don't follow bands. I've told this story before about my nieces that buy a lot of music, but they buy it all on what do you call it? iTunes, one song at a time. My niece Emily has never bought an album. She's never bought a full-length release. And she's fucking 18 years old.
Yeah.
And she gets hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars a year worth of gift cards for iTunes. And she's never purchased a full-length album. What does that tell you about this generation? They have no allegiance to the bands. And then when you counter that with the fact that they make stars out of themselves on YouTube, you know, I mean, dude, how many times, as much as you and I both rag on fucking Twitter and Facebook and whatever, there are people that are Facebook stars.
Yeah, they are.
They're famous for being on Facebook.
Right.
They're famous for being on YouTube. You know, they can't even, they don't have enough talent to get onto traditional mediums. So they go on the free mediums and go crazy. You know, dude, there's YouTube guys, my sons always tell me, and they show me, and I can't remember one name of anybody, but there are literally guys that are making tons of money, like hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, playing video games, like simulcasting it on YouTube, and commenting on it. And that's all they do. They play the games and they comment on the games. And they are making livings, if not fortunes, doing that. Same shit we did for free for how many years with our Atari?
Yeah, sure.
Just sitting with your buddy playing Atari or fucking Xbox, or not Xbox. What else did we have? Sega. You know, Sega or Nintendo. Now they do it and make money doing it. It's a different mindset. What is considered big entertainment is so totally different than what we consider to be totally entertainment.
That's true.
It's crazy.
Well, anyway, that's the direction we're going is holograms.
Yeah, it is going that way. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're just dinosaurs, man.
Yeah, we are. We're just getting old, man.